Well, Brandon, it was a really nice weekend off of having to watch the Michigan offense play football, but they are back at it this weekend in the final home game of the season at the Big House. Northwestern comes into town, and all jokes aside, I want to talk about a what if. A what if, because I don't know about you, Brant. How high? Actually, let me start here before I give the what if. What is your confidence level that this is a win? Confidence like 1 to 10. 10 is like done deal. Like, where are you at? Because I feel like we're probably in similar number.
5? Is that fair?
Okay, I was gonna say 6. Like,
Okay.
I'm just over just enough to be like, yeah, we should win this game. We need to win this game, and that's kind of the question: is what if? What if Sherrone Moore brings this team out there after a second bye week, and we know what it looked like the first time, man. It wasn't good. Coming out after a second bye week in a loss to Northwestern at home. Forget the Ohio State game. What is that? What does that scenario look like for Sherrone Moore and Michigan, realistically?
Realistically, it Dave, it reaffirms what we know to the season to be complete failure. I think we're there now. Like I think we all can take that collective, thought is, a loss to Northwestern is a complete failure. Northwestern, they are going to try to line up and they're going to try to like man ball you, which Michigan has done for years to different people. But now Northwestern is going to try to do this. And if you get man balled by Northwestern, Dave, not only was it a complete failure of the season, it points to the sign that you've completely lost your identity of who you were. The smash is gone. Student body left, student body right. That stuff is all gone. Michigan is no longer line you up and at least will dominate you on the trenches, Dave. If they lose this game, because that's how Northwestern will beat them, is they will outman them up front. They're not going to be throwing it around the yard. We know that. So Michigan will really have their manhood tested, I think, this weekend. This is a gut check game, dude. And one of the main things I want people to watch this weekend is like, I know this sounds weird to say, but body language. Like, what does the body language look like, Dave? Is it, hey, I understand we're 5-5, but are we down 7-0 and then all of a sudden guys on the sidelines there's no juice, there's no energy. That's going to be a bigger indictment on Sherrone more than anything, because this game means everything. This is a huge game for this team. Really, Dave, you could look at it and say this is the last chance for a win. I mean, you might get a bowl matchup that isn't in your favor or something. Obviously, Ohio State's going to be a 95% chance for them to win that game. This is your last time as a first-year head coach to go out and get a win. And a lot of these guys are going to be gone next year. We think Kenneth Grant's going to be gone, Mason Graham, Will Johnson. A lot of these guys are not going to be back in a Michigan uniform for a potential win outside of this weekend, Dave. So this is honestly a must-win to me, and it doesn't change the season from, I guess, being a complete failure. I don't want to throw that out there, but I think the body language and the trajectory of the program, what a kick in the groin it would be to lose to Northwestern at home.
What do you feel like is? This is a loaded question. What is Sherrone's biggest problem in year one?
Dave, it's got to be the offense. Like, I think people look at that and say, hey, you were the OC, right? And now your offense is doing this, and you can muster out 5 wins. And not only just 5 wins, but who did you beat in those 5 wins? You basically beat nobodies. And I think that's the important thing to take away from this was we knew what Jim Harbaugh was when he signed up for it, right, Dave? Is we knew he was going to be smash mouth. They were going to play clean football. They weren't going to get penalties, stuff like that. Now, he didn't win big games until later in his Michigan career, but we knew what we were getting, right? What did we think when we signed up for Sherrone Moore? We thought we were going to be able to run the ball down people's throats. We thought we would be able to move the ball efficiently with decent quarterback play. Maybe we thought Alex Orji was going to be able to be an integral part of this offense. Hasn't happened. Dave, we were sold a bill of goods offensively with Sherrone Moore, and we didn't get any of the ROI. You know what I mean? We didn't get anything like that. So I think that is his biggest problem in year one was you were supposed to be an offensive guy. And Dave, our biggest issues were on what? The offensive side of the ball. And if that's going to be your selling point to Ward Manuel, if he's out there and has a pulse, then he should already be having these conversations with Sherrone about what's the plan going forward. Kirk Campbell can't be a part of this because if he's who you trusted with the offense this year, and you guys have offensive meetings all the time, right? These aren't the answers.
Sharon's got to call Mulligan after this year, and do use the breakfast ball, because truthfully, this was nothing short of a disaster this year. And I think I mean, you're spot on everything you said about the offense. I am still of the belief, just as we talked last week, Kurt Campbell should absolutely not have a job right now. I would have absolutely fired him at this point. I don't know. I'm not there. I guess that obviously in that room, maybe you want continuity to just finish these last couple games of the season. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't need continuity in that department because he hasn't been good enough, and it's not even remotely a discussion. He shouldn't have a job. I think, and Brant, to your credit, I think you told me this, and I don't remember if you said it on the podcast or not, but you said this over the summer to me and said, I just hope that Sherrone doesn't think he's Harbaugh 2.0. And that is the biggest the team lacks an identity. The team lacks an identity because your head coach lacks an identity. He doesn't know who he is. He's not Jim Harbaugh. He does his best to basically reiterate in different ways things that Jim has said. He can't go through even a press conference this week talking about how often he talks to Jim. Texts at least once, probably twice, 3 times a week. I get it. But Harbaugh's not here anymore. Okay, Jim Harbaugh's the head coach of the Chargers. That's great. That's your mentor. Cool. I need you to start acting like a head coach and figure out who Sherrone Moore is going to be moving forward. This season's a wrap. Yeah, it's a disaster scenario. You lose to Northwestern. I don't know where you go from there. You're stuck if you're Michigan. You can't fire Sherrone Moore after 1 year, but I mean, there's absolutely shortens the time frame to a second season and done. Absolutely, no questions asked if it's not significantly better. But Sherrone Moore needs to figure out who Sherrone Moore, the head coach, is. He knows who Sherrone Moore, the offensive coordinator, is. He knows who Sherrone Moore is, the smash offensive line coach, which, by the way, has been a disaster this year. We know all of those things about Sherrone Moore. We were sold a bag of goods, like you said. I don't know who Sherrone Moore, the head coach, is of Michigan, and that's a huge problem. We are down to the last 2 regular season games. This team has not gotten better as the season has gone on, maybe marginally, but look, when you look like a JV team most of the year, it's not a slap on the back to say, hey, we'll move you up to varsity for a game. It's been disappointing to say the least. And what I hope for in the coming weeks is a true, clear direction and voice of reason from our head coach, because he's got to figure this out.
Dave, I think the biggest indictment maybe on Sherrone Moore right now too is he was handed a turnkey program like this, and I know it burns a lot of people more than just Michigan fans when a guy like Kirk Cignetti does what he does at Indiana. And to his credit, Dave, nobody really knew who Kirk Cignetti was, but he's not from a tree. He learned under Saban, whatever, but he doesn't act like Nick Saban, and that's one of the things that I think people can see through the BS, and I think that's why when you talk about all the failed Patriots coaches, it's the Patriot way. A lot of guys under Saban, they failed as well, but it's like if you get your own path, like Sarkisian is different than Saban in my eyes. Lane Kiffin is 100% different than Saban, and he knows that. I mean, you even hear Kiffin and Saban talk today, and they're like 2 completely different people. It's refreshing because you're being yourself. Nobody wants to sign up to play for a guy that's not being himself. And I think there are some elements of Harbaugh that are instilled in him that aren't going to go away, but it's way too cringy right now. And we've talked about that. The cringe factor is like times 10 with this whole Harbaugh thing and the way that he wants to be perceived and the way that he wants to act. And let me tell you what, I watched the Monday night or Sunday night football thing with the Chargers defense, and they were trying to explain how Jim Harbaugh is, and they're like, "Listen, there's only one. All you can say is he's him. Like that's all you can say about him." Derwin James and Khalil Mack were talking about him, and they're like, "He's kind of just different, you know." Like, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing to try to be like. Like, you know, he's so unique. He's almost like a unicorn that like you can't just force yourself into being that. So I think while you're completely right about that whole situation, I think Sherrone Moore can find his way out of this, but he's going to have to do a lot of soul searching this summer, and it really needs to be done.